Did the Buffalo Sabres actually get better at the trade deadline? What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. To the surprise of many of Sabres fans, GM Kevyn Adams didn't just sit on his hands this NHL trade deadline. It was a surprise to me. I went in hoping for the best, but fearing the worst, as we have seen Adams time and again disappoint Sabres fans. But this time was a little different. This time he went in with a determination and a focus to get a deal done and potentially make the Sabres better now. So what kind of moves did the Buffalo Sabres make at the trade deadline? There weren't just trades, and let's first start talking about the signings that the Buffalo Sabres did around the NHL trade deadline. The first one was re-signing forward Jordan Greenway to a 2-year deal. The Buffalo Sabres traded for Greenway 2 seasons ago, and they have now extended him for another 2 seasons at $4 million per year. And with the Buffalo Sabres, he has played 112 games. He's had 17 goals and 23 assists. Greenway adds a dimension that the Sabres don't really have, which is, of course, physicality on the back end. He is a quality third-line player for the Buffalo Sabres. He also adds a little bit of offensive ability, being able to score in the mid to high 20s in terms of points. So you will likely see Greenway, provided he can stay healthy, in that 25 to 30 point area. And he is also a relatively good penalty killer, something that the Buffalo Sabres desperately need if they are going to turn things around next season. And he is now entering the absolute middle of his prime at just 27 years old. The second signing that the Sabres were able to accomplish was something that was a bit of a surprise. They signed him in the offseason for a 1-year deal worth $5 million, and many thought that he would likely get traded at the deadline. However, the Sabres understood, or at least the front office understood, that they need more veteran voices in that locker room. So they were able to ink Jason Zucker to a 2-year extension worth $4.75 million per year. A little bit of a pay cut than what he is making currently at $5 million. However, he is 33 years old. And while he has scored a bunch of points for the Buffalo Sabres this season, I believe he's got 44 points for the Sabres this season, and he's on pace for quite a bit more. If he can settle in for the next 2 seasons around 40 to 45 points and the 20-ish goal range, I want him to see 20 to 22 goals maybe. I think that it is a home run deal. You add veteran leadership. He is a quality middle six forward. He can play on the third line. He gives you a little bit of veteran presence. He knows what it's like to win. And those are the types of guys the Sabres need to keep in their organization, especially when they are playing so well and they are determined to prove people wrong, much like Jason Zucker is this season. And we move on to a trade that many people wanted a long time ago. The Sabres were finally able to trade defenseman Henri Jokiharju to the Boston Bruins, a bitter rival for the Buffalo Sabres over the entire existence of their franchise. However, they are not rivals in this, as Boston gives up a 4th-round pick for Jokiharju. In all honesty, not a terrible trade for the Sabres. They were able to get a decent amount of compensation back for Jokiharju, even though he was in and out of the lineup and a bit inconsistent all season long. The Sabres were able to flip him for a middle pick in this upcoming draft. Now we move on to the biggest trade and quite a bit of surprise for fans like myself. We called for it and we finally got what we wanted. It was, of course, the trading of forward Dylan Cozens. The Sabres traded Dylan Cozens and Dennis Gilbert along with a second-round pick in exchange for center Josh Norris and right-handed defenseman Jacob Bernard Docker. Now, Docker's in and out of the lineup. He was in and out of the lineup for the Ottawa Senators. However, Josh Norris was in the lineup for a majority of this season so far for the Ottawa Senators. He had 33 points for the Senators before coming over to Buffalo. Now, of course, it is no surprise, as most Sabres fans know, everyone kind of talked him up in the national media when Dylan Cozens was traded. This just goes to show me that they have not been paying attention, of course, and realistically, who would, to the Buffalo Sabres, as Cozens has struggled mightily on the Buffalo Sabres since signing his big contract. He had a big year that saw him score like 38 goals and 68 points, something to that effect. Just a fantastic year, but then again, everyone on that Sabres team hit career highs that year. He cashed in on it and has dropped off of a cliff since that moment, as he has scored just 78 points in the next 140 games for the Sabres team. That is just a 0.55 points per game, which equates to roughly 45 points over the course of 82 games. I said it to Sabres fans, not this past season. In the middle of last season, I said it, is that my fear is that what we saw was an anomaly. He cashed in on all of the opportunities that the Sabres have in a magical offensive year that saw everyone break their personal best records in terms of points and goals. Pretty much everyone break their records in terms of points and goals. And he had himself a tremendous year. However, if you look at his numbers over the course of those other seasons, they kind of drop back down, especially his shooting percentage. It comes back down into that 8 to 9% range. And I think, at least on the Sabres, he would have topped out somewhere between 40 and 45 points, something that you need more out of your second line center if he's only going to give you 45 points. He was not being as physical as we would like him to be. He was not creating chaos like we want him to be. He was not being that power forward that he needed to be for the Buffalo Sabres for him to be effective. And once again, sometimes it happens. Players just need a change of scenery. And in the case of Dylan Cozens, that might just be what he needed. He might have just needed a change of scenery. Maybe he just needed to get out of that locker room, right? He was with a bunch of guys that he grew up with, essentially, within this organization. And sometimes you need a move, a fresh start, in order to really jumpstart your game and get back to where you were when he was posting in the neighborhood of that 68 points. Now, coming back to Buffalo is center Josh Norris, who has 90 goals and 66 assists in his 237 career games before joining the Buffalo Sabres. That is a .65 points per game career. And over the last two seasons, for comparison with Dylan Cozens, that is a .63 points per game in the last two seasons. Now, we talked about the struggles of Dylan Cozens. He struggled offensively. He struggled defensively. He struggled in the physical game. He did just something about it did not look right with Dylan Cozens the last few years with the Buffalo Sabres. Josh Norris comes with a little bit of baggage as well. He was unable to stay healthy for majority of his career in Ottawa. His most games being played in a season, just 66 points. However, he scored 35 goals, I believe, that season for the Ottawa Senators. So he is somebody that can absolutely fill it up for the Buffalo Sabres in terms of goal scoring. Something that is also underlooked. He is a very strong two-way forward, something that the Sabres desperately need. Cozens struggles on defense. Thompson struggles on defense. Tuch is one of their best defensive forwards. So, they just needed another guy to be able to come in and show them how to play better defensively, more positionally, than they have been as forwards for the Buffalo Sabres without compromising his ability to score. Now, as I said, if he can stay healthy, that is a big if. I think he has a lower offensive side, like a lower ceiling offensively than somebody like Dylan Cozens. However, I think defensively he picks up a lot of slack where Cozens doesn't. And I think his floor is higher than Dylan Cozens' floor. So I think his floor is a little bit higher than Cozens, being in the maybe 40-point range, at least with the Buffalo Sabres, being in that 40-point range. I think Josh Norris is a little bit better than that. He's a better shooter than Dylan Cozens, so he could help the Sabres' power play. He's good defensively. He could potentially help their penalty kill. And of course, he's already played 2 games with the Buffalo Sabres at the time that this video came out, and Cozens has played 2 games with the Ottawa Senators. Dylan Cozens, metrics look bad, supposedly, according to the people online, but he has a goal and an assist, including, I believe, a game-winning goal for the Ottawa Senators. And Josh Norris, I didn't get a chance to watch his first game as a Buffalo Sabre. However, I did get a chance to watch him against the Edmonton Oilers. It looks like he is starting to acclimate himself a little bit better. He made a fantastic play racing up the right wing, was able to win the battle, chip it over to Tage Thompson, and Tage Thompson did the rest on that goal for Josh Norris's first point as a Buffalo Sabre. If he can stay healthy, and if Dylan Cozens can regain the offensive part of his game that he didn't have here in Buffalo, realistically, this could be a great trade for both teams to get pieces that they each need to help them get to another stratosphere in terms of their ability. Now, obviously, Ottawa is battling for a playoff spot, and the Sabres are one of the worst teams in the NHL. But hoping with this offseason that they could potentially get more players this offseason. So while one move won't move the needle that much for the Buffalo Sabres, in my opinion, it is a step in the right direction to shake up this core. We've seen that it's not working the way that it is constructed. Shake it up. You bring some different style players in here and try to find some team chemistry that can get you over the hump and finally break the longest playoff drought in professional sports. This year will be 14 years. Hopefully, the Buffalo Sabres can do it this next season with some reinforcements coming in the offseason, a couple more trades, maybe a free agent here or there, maybe even a rookie coming in and being a big difference maker for the Buffalo Sabres. Who knows? Whatever needs to be done, I do hope that the Sabres make some changes in the offseason. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. I give the Sabres grade like maybe a C+ or a B-. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Again, it wasn't an overwhelmingly great trade deadline, but it wasn't bad either. I liked what he did. It is a step, like I said, a step in the right direction. With all that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. Remember, I talk Bills, Sabres, and the University at Buffalo men's basketball and football teams right here on this page. Thank you guys all for watching, and as always, have a fantastic week.